to Playbook for Performance, the official podcast of Shauna Corden, the Joan of Arc for corporate healing and performance. Join the quest to make work fun again by preparing leadership for engaging workplaces. And now, your host.
Hello and welcome, friends. I'm Shauna Corden, and I'm glad to have you here on the Playbook for Performance podcast. Our mission is to make work fun again by building better leaders. This month's theme is all about the coach approach. And if you have a specific question on coaching, email us and we'll add it to our social media. Drop a note to podcast@shaunacorden.com. So last week, we talked about the additional benefits of a coach approach, including improved communication, staff using their strengths, and better risk-taking. Today, we're covering the steps in a coaching conversation: intention, exploration, decisions, accountability. So just to recap what coaching is, we're partnering with clients to maximize their personal and professional potential. We don't act as a subject matter expert, giving advice, mentoring, or consulting. We are equals working towards the client's goal. And a coach approach means using a method of asking versus telling, providing the what, not the how. So we covered the GROW model in a previous podcast, but I thought I'd get even more generic on you and cover the main areas we're trying to address in every coaching conversation, whether it's conducted by a professional, credentialed coach like myself or by a leader using coaching skills. There are dozens of models out there, and I encourage you to play with them for what feels most natural and effective for you. There are two overarching themes with every model that are essential and, in fact, required for a productive conversation. One is partnership. The conversation is imbued with a feeling of partnership aligned. The conversation isn't one-sided like an interrogation. The other is being. Being is an encompassing term that reflects that you are in the moment, present, and agile to the direction of the conversation. It ensures you're not just checking the boxes of a flow chart, and you're responsive to the needs of your conversation partner. You're not distracted, you're pleasantly engrossed, and there's a lightness to it. Now that I've distilled two very master skills into simple definitions, the more they're practiced, the more natural they'll become. So let's get started. Intention. Just like the agenda and objectives of a meeting, and please tell me every meeting, otherwise why are we having it? We name the intention. It could be to solve a problem, reconnect, think out loud, process a decision, determine strategy, etc. Have a topic and a desired outcome. We want to be strategic about these intentions. Find out why it's important. Why now? What's it going to do for you? How will it affect the other areas of your work or life? So let's start with an example. I learned long ago as a coach never to accept a client whose goal was, I want to lose X number of pounds. If that was the intention, and if it was effective, there would be no weight loss industry. I'd sound the buzzer. Nope, try again. And they were sincere and frustrated with me. So I explained. No one ever got excited about losing weight. It was the why that was important. And why now? So we dig a bit deeper. And after a few minutes of me saying, and, we would finally get to, I just took my grandkids to the park this weekend and I couldn't keep up. I had to rest before I could catch up, and I don't want to miss out. Ding, 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 ding. Correct answer. It's personal, it's heartfelt, it's animated. They could visually see and feel what keeping up felt like, and it was probably going to be challenging. And that meets 3 of the 4 criteria for hard goals. Check out hard goals in the show notes. So now we have a clear intention and the why, and we can follow up with all the benefits of losing weight that we'll have for them in terms of increased energy, health, esteem, and so on. And this will also allow us to come up with a concrete desired result for that particular session, such as 3 things I'm going to start tomorrow. So we've covered the intention part of the coaching conversation. Then we go into exploration. Continuing with our example, what we might ask is, have you ever tried losing weight before? Did it work? Could you leverage that? What sounds like fun? what's challenging, what is easy, and so on. We want to leverage personal character strengths, networks, tools, anything that will provide support for this goal. This can look a lot like brainstorming, but with one difference. If the coach is contributing ideas, they must remain unattached. Those ideas are simply fodder for them. And depending on the rapport of the coach and the client, the coach may even ask permission to share an idea. This is because in coaching, we believe the client has the ideas within, and what may work for the coach and their persona may not be a good fit for the client. And especially in the case where the leader is using coaching skills with a subordinate, we don't want the subordinate to feel pressured or compelled to use the superior's idea. We also don't want to convey the message that we don't believe the client is capable of coming up with their own ideas. After thorough exploration, we move into decisions. A big portion of coaching is about moving forward, results-oriented. We don't want all of our ideas to be a simple academic exercise. We want to generate energy and possibly be placed into a vehicle that's really going to move forward. This might be to stop doing something, enforce a boundary, begin a new habit, create a new relationship. Notice all of these things have verbs. There's activity happening here. If you've been following for a while, you've noticed that we always have a portion of our message that talks about coaching without action is just entertainment. Decisions that include when, how often, with whom are all good. I personally like deadlines because as a coach, I can shorten them. We don't need 2 weeks to make a phone call or wait for a Monday to start a habit. But what we are really aiming for here is that decisions that lead to commitment. How committed are they? If they're only so-so, we may have missed the mark. And then we'll go back to exploration or even intention. The coaching process here isn't linear, it's dynamic. So assuming we have a decision with full commitment, we're ready for accountability. How will the client hold themselves accountable? We don't necessarily want to be their accountability as their coach. We don't want them dependent on us, but we can act in a way that when we have follow-up, I always intend to grow their intrinsic motivation so they feel accountable to themselves. But I recognize it's easier for me as an upholder. See Gretchen Rubin's 4 Tendencies book for a more thorough explanation in the show notes. Generally, after a warm hello and a catch-up, I'll be asking about their commitments from a previous session. If their actions didn't have the impact intended, we might do a bit of tweaking on that topic before we move into the topic for today and their intention. So those are the key steps with that umbrella of partnership and being. Now, if you'd like to learn more about coaching skills or you want to schedule a full 2-day workshop for your team, email me at shauna@shaunacorden.com. And that brings us to our tool of the week. Begin with the end in mind. Do you want your team to be happy, productive, and stay with you? Do you want them to have better conversations that lead to better results and happier, more fulfilling home lives? Do you want to be the leader that employees want to work for? Then begin with the end in mind. The third of the 7 habits of highly effective people, the classic from Stephen Covey. So dream out your work environment, the ideal. What are people's attitudes, accomplishments, and growth? What's the tone of the office or the team? What's the reputation or the brand you want to have with others? What do you want the flow of your day to look like? What does balance look like? Once you've got a full picture and you've created the movie in your mind, engaging all the senses, images, sounds, smells, break it down. What are the values demonstrated? What are the operating procedures in place? What are the characteristics of the staff? What is the environment made up of? What will you need to do as a leader to paint that vision and inspire the action that'll create that end state? So here's your field work, because coaching without action isn't coaching, it's just entertainment. Spend some time thinking and recording your ideas about this ideal environment. Create a mood board of images that suggest the environment. Start jotting down words that describe your ideal environment. Repeat the process for all the areas in your life. Jack Canfield's 7 areas for goals is a great place to start, and you can get a free PDF and narrated video by emailing us at shauna@shaunacorden.com Or if you prefer, I can facilitate a live webinar for your team to create their goals for 2022 in these 7 areas. Each week in the podcast, I like to highlight a leader doing it well in the news or from a listener, and one that had a wobble. And if you'd like to nominate your organization, please email me at podcast@shawnacorden.com. So this week, I want to give a shout out to those organizations that closed down a majority of their operations between the holidays to give employees a chance to restore and recharge by spending time with the ones they love. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, we can all benefit from time sharpening the saw. That's all for this week. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, give us a rating, tell your friends. If you'd like to hear more about a topic that would make your work fun again by improving the leaders in your organization, please drop us a line at podcast@shawnacorden.com. Happy New Year! Until next week, take good care.
Thank you for listening to Playbook for Performance. To learn more about Shauna Corden, her consulting programs and tools, please visit her website at shawnacorden.com and follow us on social media at Shauna Corden.